In this video, I'll demonstrate the other labeling options within Microsurvey CAD. So within our MS Annotate group and under the labels and under label line, we have our auto arrows online feature. So what this does is it will create arrows at the endpoints of a line. So if I click on this to prompt the command, next it's going to ask which line I want to label. So if I just select the line and hit enter, it'll highlight the line, letting me know which line I'm currently working with. Next it asks which side we want the arrows placed. You can either place them above the line or underneath. In this case I want them underneath. So if I just click on that, next it's going to prompt and ask which arrow type you want to use. Microsurvey by default comes loaded with 3 different types of arrows. So you have your MMARR, and you have your MMARR1 and your MMARR2. But in this I'll just use the default MMARR, and I'll just hit escape, and you can see that it has added 2 arrowheads at the end points of each line with the MMARR arrow type. So if I just reprompt the command, and I'll label the lot line down here. This time I'll place the arrows underneath again. This time I want to use my arrowhead MMARR1. And I'll hit enter, and you can see that it has used arrow type MMARR1 instead of the MMARR. So I'll just hit escape. Next, we also have our auto add angle feature. So what that does is it will calculate the angle between 2 lines, and it will give you the clockwise direction. So if I use auto add angle, it's going to ask me to pick a point on the first line. Since I want the angle from this line to this line, I'll start from over here, since it's going to give me the clockwise direction of the angle. So if I just choose on the first line and the intersection point and pick a point on the second line, it gives us an angle of 90 degrees since this is perpendicular. Let's say I wanted the outside angle of this, so I need to go counterclockwise or clockwise still, and it'll give me the other inverse direction of that angle. So if I pick on that and the intersection and the second line, and we'll get the inverse of that line there. So I'm just going to hit escape. Another handy feature to use is the scale text values. So what that will do is it will rescale values of selected objects to a new value. So for example, I have these distance labels currently in international feet, and what I'd like to do is scale these text values so that they are in meters. So to do this, we need to use our scale text value feature, which can be found under the MS Annotate ribbon and under your modified text group. You'll find the scale text value. So if we just prompt on this to bring up the command, and I'll just pull this off to the side, and here it's going to ask you what you're converting from, and we're converting from international feet. And since our labels do have the feet symbol on here, we need to leave the label in there. If you do not have the foot symbol, you can actually remove that label, but in this case I'm going to leave that as is, and I want to convert to meters, and I want to apply the meters label to the new converted label. If you don't want to have the meters attached to it, you can actually remove that. You can also set the amount of decimal places for your new label. So for this I actually want to just round to the nearest meter, and I'll leave the label as is, and you can add a prefix or a suffix to your labels if you'd like, and you can also use a gap to space between the prefix and the new label there. Here it's going to give you the conversion factor. Because we are using preset units, it'll automatically give us the conversion factor. But if you had a conversion factor that you wanted to manually input, you would just switch the convert from to custom, and that would allow you to input a custom conversion and scale factor there. But in this case, I'm just going to leave it as feet international. Over here to the side in our options, we have filters that we can apply to ensure that we are only scaling our desired entities. So these toggles here, you can see only convert if from labels matches, convert text not in the database, convert distance labels and remove from database, and convert elevation labels. I'm just going to leave these filters as is. Next, you actually have the option to format the layout. So we actually have the new value setting here. So what this will do is it will just replace all the old labels with the new values. You also have the option to go old value to new value. So what this will do is it will replace the old text values with a combination of both the old and the new in the specified order, in case you don't want to delete the original labels and you'd like to show both of them. You have the option to do so here. And I'm just going to hit OK. Next, it's going to ask me to select all the labels that I want to scale. And if I hit enter and escape to get out of the command, you can see that all the labels that I have just selected to scale, it has applied those settings. So it has converted them from international feet to meters, rounded to the nearest meter from my decimal setting there, and it has added the meter label there. But let's go back in here, since these next few text values that I want to scale, I'd like to keep the original label. So under formatting, I actually want to use old value to new value, and I'll separate it using a hyphen. And we can actually reformat the old value if we'd like. So I'm actually just going to get rid of the foot symbol, and I'm going to add a suffix of feet with a gap space in there, and I'm going to hit OK. So now when I scale these text labels will not be removed, but it will be reformatted with a suffix instead of the foot symbol, and it will also add the new metric label in there. So if I hit enter, you can see that it has applied the old setting. So it has applied the foot suffix, and it has applied the hyphen separator with our new metric label here. I'm just going to hit escape. And that is the other labeling options in MicroSurvey CAD. Thanks for taking interest in this video.